I'm doing okay. Um, my question for today is, well, I don't know if it's really a question, but I had a dream last night that brought up a lot of like rejection stuff. I'm very, um, I guess, in tune to my dreams and just get a lot out of them as far as like um, what's going on, and they're always like reality based. And so beginning of this week, I've, started back into this program after having a few weeks off, just like really um, intense with the triggers and different things, and was working through some things earlier in the week. And then probably just a combination of everything, like you were saying, with the holidays and stuff. I um, end on the call last night with Melanie. Karina was being coached, and they were talking about siblings and different family dynamics and different things. And so anyway, I had this dream where like a lot of rejection came up with my ex from my ex-boyfriend. And ever since I left him like 2 years ago, but ever since I left, I know that it's not a good relationship. I know that it's not something that, I want to be in or anything like that. But um, we've talked, and we've actually seen each other because of family things over the past 2 years. And every time I see him, feelings come up, which I haven't seen him lately, and that's not going to be happening again. But um, due to different things, we were getting together for the holidays. But every time I would see him and I would leave and think about everything, like it felt like we had just broke up, like this heavy rejection would come on. And I'm just and I'm the one that left. I'm the one that chose out of the relationship, and I would just get these heavy feelings of it being so fresh, like it was just happening. And then again in my dream, that same thing happened last night. And I'm just like, it just throws me off, and I get feeling so anxious, and
Mm.
I just feel like I haven't explored that um, I guess, area of my life as far as like relationships and rejection and all of that too much yet. But I'm getting a feeling from, like I said, from last night's call that um, I can see how, different things play in and stuff like that. But so I don't know if I really have a question, but I'm just feeling like maybe I'm looking for like some advice, or maybe how to get um, heart connected, or just to better deal with the trigger when it comes up of feeling so rejected. Like in the dream, I was literally moving out of his house, and he had already had a new girlfriend that he was like, hanging out with. And like all of a sudden, this changed person. And I was still like moving stuff out of the house. So it seemed like he was actually the one that was moving on before me, because that's kind of what's happening real life now with my emotions. Like he's moved on, and I've kind of taken steps back, where I'm like still processing so much. And I don't know if it's just because I'm thinking so much about, things in this program or what, but this is definitely consistent through my relationships too. Like, and it wasn't just one time that we got together. We ended up trying things out a second time as well. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like one of those things where I feel like I was making progress, and then it's so intense sometimes, where
Mm.
at times like maybe I would have reached out to him, or just, but then that doesn't help. So I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. This is a great start. Would it be okay if I reflected back to you what I've heard so far and we'll see what comes
mhm,
up in that?
yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Because it sounds like you're recognizing that you're triggered because you're feeling anxious and you're kind of looping back of remembering the times where he would come into your life and then it would feel like it was a brand new heartbreak all over. Is that kind of how
Yeah.
you're knowing that
Yeah.
you're triggered?
Right. Right.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
It's just like the all of the emotions and feelings that come with it. I'm sure, like you said, with the looping, it's like I'm rethinking things, second guessing things, wondering like now with all of this new information um, that I'm learning in the program, like how, how I played such a big part in it, like, and where I could have been at fault, like all of that stuff, gets looping again.
Okay, cool. So when you're feeling anxious and when you're looping back through this really tough separation, even though it was your decision, it's still not easy.
Hmm.
Um, and you're feeling all those emotions of loss and things like that, and wondering, like, what does this mean about me? Questioning yourself. Those are indicators to you that something is off. Something in your internal world is not aligned with love. There's no contentment, there's not peace, there's not joy. That's your invitation to know that you're triggered. So cool. Great to learn more about yourself and further build that awareness.
Hmm.
And once you can recognize these emotional triggers, then you can start the process of organizing what's underneath of them. A lot of that looks like just kind of pausing for a moment, especially if you're used to like flying away from them, shoving them under the rug, putting on that face that everything's okay. Um, and actually pausing and looking at the ugly feelings that are underneath there can, that's what I like to think of as confronting the
Hmm.
emotions. And when you do that, even if it's 2 minutes today, 5 minutes next week, 10 minutes the following week, you're building this equity with confronting your triggers. And
Hmm.
that is a huge step of the process, huge step of the process. And so it sounds like for this particular pain point, this breakup with your ex,
Hmm.
you're in that stage where you're just starting to confront the emotions. Does that feel like it resonates with you and where you're at in the process?
I would say that I'm definitely over the past few months, like with this program, like knowing for sure that it, how toxic it was and
Mhm.
how um, beneficial it is that I'm not in it anymore, and the reasons why it didn't work. I'm definitely seeing more of that versus questioning like, if it should be still or if we should be working at it still. But when I'm triggered and I'm emotional about it, like this morning feeling the rejection, I guess that's where I have a hard time in like um being able to like sit in it like you're saying and really, sit in the emotions, because I don't want to sit in the rejection emotions. Like I want to be able to feel all of these things, in a positive way of why it's not, like why we're not together, or why it's, a good thing that we're not together, and like the opposite of rejection, and feel powerful about it and whatever. But it's hard to um like sit in the positivity, I guess, to be able to like move forward. And I don't know if that's like a heart connection thing, or if
Yeah.
that's just the way my mind is. It's so hard to get out of that loop of like the negativity when it happens. um
Yeah.
so I think that's where I really struggle with trying to sit and grieve and really process things, is being able to turn that off. And um I and then because of that, I'll just like, I guess, push it away. um and but then
Mm.
it's like I know that it needs to be revisited. I'm like, oh, and I'll talk about it. Like I was out talking to my neighbor about it today in the dream and how I felt so rejected. And I'm just like, yeah, I guess I really just don't know how to deal with it, how to sit in it,
Yeah.
or what that looks like to be able to like work on it to move forward.
Mhm. Totally. Um, yeah, this is a really good question. And I can almost feel the emotions coming up behind the words, almost like starting to stand on guard. Like, is this going to be the moment where we get some release, where we get space, where we get acknowledgement? And so I just want to acknowledge that sitting in rejection is probably one of the scariest things I've ever
Yeah.
also encountered. And I'm so sorry for that pain that exists. I know conceptually you want to know next steps and to fix it. And before we move into that, I just really want to acknowledge your heart that this is really hard. Rejection is so painful. We want love. I think we were built for it. And so when a source of that gets removed in our life, it's really hard to adapt
Yeah.
and to adjust.
And I feel like that's how I've been dealing like my whole life, because there hasn't ever been anything ever constant. Like I've moved so much, and my childhood was so unstable, and like, there was just craziness with my siblings, craziness like with my dad leaving, craziness. I mean, on every level, like I have all of the things, all of the triggers, and I just don't know what anything constant like really feels like, even as far
Mhm.
as like, so then therefore I have a hard time with like loving myself constantly. um
Sure.
I realized that this past week when we were talking about like my abandonment issues and stuff, and how I'm just not really able to like even give myself the compassion I need, so of course I can't give it to others. And um I think I just like that, obviously this week has been a lot because of those different things, but it's just, I get to this point where I'm like really diving deep and working on things, not by choice. It's just kind of happening, like it's not like I'm even doing much reading or listening too much on calls or anything. It's just certain things in my life happen, little triggers, little situations. And then I'm having these awesome, great breakthroughs, but it just sometimes feels like stuff is swirling and nothing really ever, um, I shouldn't say that, because I did not, that nothing ever really gets like addressed or whatever, or like healed a little bit here and there, because I did really have a great breakthrough this past earlier in the week. But
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just so much, like one thing builds on another, and it's like,
Yeah. That's so true. And man, I am really feeling that myself this week. Just like I can't catch a breath from the trigger that happened 2 days ago because I just got triggered yesterday. And it's
mhm.
like actually the coaching that I gave you earlier in the week, I have been taking my own advice of just like,
Yeah.
you know, we are in the middle of this kind of trigger spiral right now.
Hmm.
And we we won't know exactly what's going on. We don't have that bird's eye picture view right now because we're in the middle of the swirl and we're in the middle of the
Hmm.
chaos. And so what we can do is surrender to the current situation that we're in. Kind of what I was telling you earlier of like, you're in the recovery process right now. And so be in the recovery process. Don't be in a reflection process that you're not in currently. Be in the moment that you're at without having to have full picture understanding of what's going on.
Hmm.
Because you are doing that because you're able to jump on this call um, and process through for a few minutes and already understand, oh no, this is a rejection that I'm feeling. You're putting
Mhm.
words to what you're feeling, you're putting language to what's going on internally. Oh, this is rooted in deep abandonment and
Mhm.
a belief that I don't have constant love currently, that it comes and goes, that it fluctuates. So you're uncovering so much inside that spiral. Being inside that
Mhm.
spiral, you're looking around, understanding what's going on. You're stopping at just the right moments to be present in this. And that is all going to help you one day be able to look back on it and say, oh, wow. And hopefully that one day is in a week or in a month, in a year. You know,
Mhm.
these one days I get that's my favorite part about my job is I get to connect with you guys in the days that you had been praying for a few months earlier. And
Mhm.
so your day that you're praying for is coming and you get to look back and just be like, wow, yeah, I'm one step outside of that cycle. There's not everything in my life spiraling around me. Some things have settled. Some things I've received revelation on, I've received connection on. I've been able to have those days of positivity that your heart's craving, that connection
Mhm.
with your heart that you're wanting, and you're like, okay, cool. What I experienced last month, what I worked through, what I confronted was that deep
Mhm.
abandonment wound. And I got to see how that deep abandonment wound was manifesting in being triggered by my breakup. Cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Thank you for saying that again. I know some of it was probably repetitive from the other day, but yeah, I think um I definitely just get caught in like, am I missing something here? Like, is there so and I'm sure it has to do with me being so hard on myself at times, but that's just a good reminder that, you know, this is just what the process is. And um yeah.
yeah.
Um
Yeah. I think the best way to keep ourselves present, which um, I, I'd be happy to keep saying that for every day for a month if that's what's needed. And it'll help my ears to hear it too. I
mhm.
really mean it when I said I was taking my own advice on that. I needed to apply it to my situation too. And
Mhm.
um, yeah, I think that the best thing that we can learn to do is just say, oh, okay, I'm triggered. I don't have the bird's eye perspective that my brain really wants. I don't understand how to fully articulate what's going on because I'm in the middle of figuring out what that is. What
Mhm.
can I learn at this part of the process? What can I learn inside this spiral? What can I learn in the middle of this massive rejection wound that just came to the surface?
Mhm.
And where's the opportunity for love today when I don't have understanding, when I don't have big perspective, when I'm
Mm.
not out of the woods yet, when I'm still in the middle trying to find my way? Where
Yeah,
how
that's huge.
yeah. So I love that. I want you to try this is my bold request of you. I want you to try on this call in front of us as a way that we can learn with you. How
Mhm.
would you like to invite love in right now at this step of the
Mm.
process?
Ugh. I have no idea. It's like I think the first thing that I just thought of is like acknowledging that I think for a while now I've been single for like the past 2 years since we broke up, and I've always like, since then I'm like, oh, I have no desire to be with anybody else. I don't have any desire to date. I don't have any of that right now. Like, I just need to work on myself. And I think it's just like a protective mechanism because I just don't want to deal with, you know, any of that craziness again in my life anytime soon. And I just want to work on myself. But obviously, you know, when stuff like that comes up and I'm, you know, feeling rejected and having a dream like I did, I'm obviously like missing a part of like connection and relationship, you know? So I think just being able to admit that and share that is huge for me.
Yeah.
Um, and I just need to sit in that pain probably for a while.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
so thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. You did an awesome job figuring out what was needed in this moment. And I just want to come alongside you in that. And so, um, if you'd like to just speak a few things over your heart, I'll guide you in it. You did the heavy lifting on that one, and I just want to come in and offer you support in that, okay?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. And ladies, I see you resonating in the chat. This is phenomenal vulnerability and really helpful. So, for anybody who wants to join Sarah in this, I'll just have you repeat a few things over your heart. And Sarah, I just want you to say, heart, I acknowledge that pain.
Heart, I acknowledge that pain.
Thank you for letting me know it was there.
Thank you for letting me know it's there.
Thank you for being so brave
Thank you for being so brave
to let that surface,
to let that surface,
even though we have no idea how it's going to end.
even though we have no idea how it's going to end.
We're in the dark on this one.
We're in the dark on this one.
But heart, I'm sure glad we have each other.
But heart, I'm sure glad we have each other.
There's room for you
There is room for you
and all the emotions you hold.
and all the emotions you hold,
All the unprocessed pain.
all of the unprocessed pain.
I don't want you to clean up your mess.
I don't want you to clean up your mess.
I don't want you to have it all figured out.
I don't want you to have it all figured out.
I want you just as you are.
I want you just as you are.
I want to go on an adventure of figuring this out together.
I want to go on an adventure of figuring this out together.
I want to build with you.
I want to build with you.
I want to grow and learn.
I want to grow and learn.
I want to lean on God.
I want to lean on God.
I want to see how love can meet me right here.
I want to see how love can meet me right here.
I want to be blown away by constant love.
I want to be blown away by constant love.
And heart, that's what I'm after.
And heart, that's what I'm after.
I'm taking you with me.
And I'm taking you with me.
Feel free to keep talking to me, heart.
Feel free to keep talking to me, Heart.
Keep letting me know what you need.
Keep letting me know what you need.
I'm listening
I'm listening
and I'm learning.
and I'm learning.
Thanks for sticking with me.
Thanks for sticking with me.
And Sarah, I just want you to take a deep breath, drink in a whole bunch of love and connection and commitment and reassurance. And I just want to check in with you as you come back to. How you doing after that?
Good. Thank you so much. Yeah, I definitely needed that release, and oh, it's just a good reminder. My little girl here won't get off of my lap.
Oh, she knows you're upset.
She's like the best therapy I have. I know.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're so welcome. You
I
did
really
such a good
appreciate it.
job. You're going to keep finding
Thank you.
those invitations for love. Thanks for
I
sharing,
feel
Sarah.
very peaceful. Thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. That was good, you guys. I saw a lot of you all participating in that, and so thank you for leaning into that with us. Thank you for choosing to grab on to some love for yourself. It's really good. Oh, Haley, it's cute. I am recording successfully, so it'll be available. So good. Miss Caitlin, I have you next, girl.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear?
I can hear ya.
Good.
What's on your mind today?
Well, I actually have had something I've been kind of dealing with, or more like shoving and saying I'll deal with it later, for like a couple of weeks. A couple of memories came up, and yesterday one of them caused a trigger while I was on a Zoom call, and it was yesterday. I had told my younger self, my high school age self, that that they were having to ask what they needed, and she needed to be upset and be angry and express herself, and so I told her she could do that. And so through the call, feelings of being unheard and unvalued and unloved were coming up, and the memory that was connected to was of my stepdad, who I have this one memory that sticks out to me from around that time, and I can't remember how old I was, but I want to say somewhere around 16 is my guess. And I remember just asking, I was trying to explain myself, or explain why I did what I did, or why I messed up, or why I didn't meet his expectations or something. And I remember asking him, do you even, like, do you want to understand? Do you even care why, or what I'm feeling, or what I'm thinking? And he said, no, I don't care. And so, like, to me, that's caused a lot of issues later on. I think that's connected to a lot of, even when I'm around friends and things, like, I feel like they don't really want to hear my feelings or my thoughts, or like it's a burden on them to explain myself. But at the same time, I feel like I really want to explain myself thoroughly all the time. I'm always second guessing, like, did I even explain myself clearly? Did they get it? Like, so yeah, that, and yesterday, what that caused triggers. Like, I felt like they didn't get to me on the call list and I misunderstood and thought I was higher up. But I'm like, I realized that I'm like, okay, you invited that self to express feeling. You're not really mad at the coaches. You misunderstood. They didn't misexplain. And, you're not really mad at your mom for calling you right at the beginning of the call so you couldn't get an earlier place in line. You're feeling unheard and unloved because your stepdad didn't want to hear you or understand you. And so I kind of was hoping that I could get some healing from that memory. I feel like I need to go into an encounter and like heal it, but I was intimidated by it, and I felt like I needed some help to go through that. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah. Dang. I just am getting blown away by the emotional awareness and maturity that you just brought to the table. I'm like floored right now. This is incredible. And honestly, you're a transformed woman from the first time that I even ever interacted with you months ago. And I, wow, you should be really proud of yourself and the work that you've been doing. You just walked yourself through all of the awareness, all of the connections. You understood what was happening in real life. You were able to take a step back and sift through, wait a minute, what am I actually upset about? And get all the way back to the root of wanting to be heard by your stepdad and not having been able to experience that. And really just a theme and a belief that you're not heard at all. So incredible. Like you did that. You traced all the way back. And so I'm really proud of you for doing that. And you are definitely at a stage where an encounter is an amazing next step to be able to start shifting around some of those painful beliefs that you've uncovered and see if God has different perspective for you. And so I would love to partner with you in that and take a stab at encountering God on some of these painful beliefs. So thank you for bringing that to the table. When you think about your stepdad, the relationship that you have with him, we'll just use him as an example of this underlying feeling of being unheard. And so he was really bold and confrontational, and he let you know, like, no, I don't understand. Or what was his exact wording that he used recently?
Recently I couldn't. It's been a long time since we've butted heads over anything, but usually he actually did say I don't care. And so it's not that he didn't understand, it's that he didn't even want to try to. So there was a lot of manipulation that kind of went on in our household, and I didn't realize it till I dated someone who had the same issues in his household, and I'm like, wait a minute. Like, that's kind of, I didn't even realize it was going on until I saw it in someone else's life. Funny how that works, isn't it? So yeah, I don't really
Yeah.
talk to him about much now. So as far as a recent, I don't know.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So you used to have these experiences where you would butt heads and couldn't really get on the same page, and you would leave them feeling like he doesn't care to understand or to communicate or to find resolve or to connect. Is that kind of a fair umbrella?
Yeah, the rules weren't very consistent in our house. Like, I never knew, I would do the same thing and one day it would cause an explosion and another day it wouldn't. And so I never really knew what the expectations were. So I would try to be good and try to please everyone, and it never worked. So
Yeah.
that was kind of a normal atmosphere.
Wow. And when did you leave that atmosphere?
I believe it's been 2 or 2.5 years now. I moved to my friend Katie's house, and um, that's when I first started learning that it's not normal to come home and like someone's angry. Like there's a different way of doing life. So it's been a couple of years now.
Wow.
And now I'm in my home, which they live next door to my family.
Yeah. Man, sounds like you've been fighting for yourself for a long time. That separation and ability to reflect and realize, wait, maybe what I thought was normal isn't actually normal or helpful or healthy. That's really good.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I think that the inconsistency of expectations is really hard, especially as a kid growing up, when you are learning and modeling and mirroring and trying to figure things out. I mean, I think we still do all those things as adults, but in those really critical developmental stages of our life, help figuring it out is is really crucial. And when we don't have that, when we're met with anger, when we're met with punishment on one behavior one day and then something different the next day, that's hard to be able to know how to show up, how to do relationships, how to behave, literally how what to do with your actions and your time and your words. So it's really fundamental and probably the foundation and fundamental parts of your life and how you believe that you should act as a human probably got pretty shaken up over those last couple years, I would
Yeah.
imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. Really glad I've got a really healthy friend group now that after I moved in with Katie, those were her friends, they became my friends. So I've had the chance to learn all kinds of good things from them. I got to see what real friends look like too. So a lot of good things.
Yeah, that's really helpful. In that process of having your fundamental foundation kind of blown up a little bit over the last couple years, it sounds like settling in with good friends, settling into a brand new household that isn't automatically angry, those sound really helpful, like they're moving in the right direction. Is there an area of this whole foundation explosion that isn't going so smoothly, or is there a direction that you're hoping to learn more about?
Yeah, I'm I'm hoping to figure out how to help this one thing. The What triggered me a couple of weeks ago was I did some homework, for things your heart wants this month. And so one of them was to go visit my friends, and which they're very busy, and like, just let me come do life with you. Like, you don't have to treat me as a guest. And so I came up there and we had a wonderful time. And after it was over, I was telling them about the counseling that I was doing and how it had helped me. And they're like, oh my goodness, like with the encounters, they're like, our mom does that with us. And so that was really amazing and wonderful. And and it was just, and they were so loving and just supportive. And I left, and towards the end, I was starting to get a little on edge. And as I was driving home, like all of a sudden, I started kind of freaking out a little bit. I'm like, oh my goodness, like almost like, what did I just do? Like, oh, what if they thought I was what if they thought I was rambling on and like I didn't want to hear what they had to say? I was all self focused, or what if I didn't explain myself very well? What if they didn't get it? And like what if some of what I shared was like weird and now they have these thoughts about me? And it's like, so all that was going on. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Heart, where's that coming from? As I was learning to recognize when that starts happening, there's something behind it. And so two memories came up, and one was the one I shared with you about my stepdad saying he didn't care how I felt or why I did what I did. And one of them was when he was like, you interrupted me again. Like, cause like I don't even remember what it was about. Just like this happened a lot, but um, he'd start saying something and I'd want to say something before I forgot because I had a lot of memory issues as a child. I was B12 deficient and didn't know it till like a couple years ago. And so I'd want to say it before I forgot because he jumped from one thing to another so quick. I couldn't keep all of it straight. But if I interrupted him, he'd get mad. But if I waited, then I'd forget by the end. And so anyway, those were the two memories that came up. And so that's where I felt like that fear of them thinking I was not wanting to hear them and all that other stuff came from. And I've noticed that happens a lot with interactions with people. And I've only started really opening up a lot, probably this past year and since starting the program. And I'd like to
Yeah.
be able to have that openness without the freaking out afterwards. So yeah, that's kind of the
Yeah.
direction I think I want to go.
That's really good. Really good. Um, yeah, thanks so much for revealing that. So it sounds like your stepdad's voice, and in particular these two memories of I don't care and ugh, you interrupted me again. Those kinds of really hurtful comments probably made you think that you have to wait for someone else to give you the green light that they care to hear what you have to say. Like you have to figure out when you can be open and around what people, and then hurry up and get your point across really clearly the first time because you're having this conversation where he was angry, he was growing in agitation, he got upset that you interrupted him, but you all the while didn't have time to just say, I need a second to figure out, like to let my brain catch up, to let my memory catch up, to figure out how I want to show up. It didn't sound like a safe environment for you to converse, to be the other person in that conversation. And so it makes sense to me why you would leave your friends questioning, like, oh, did I say the right thing? Did I get my point across? Was I able to be understood? Would I have said something differently had I had the opportunity? That makes so much sense. You probably were forced into those thought patterns with your stepdad, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. Thinking I want to be more concise. That's something that I overthink and try to think how I can explain it all the first time. I definitely do that.
Mm. Doesn't sound like you had a lot of opportunities to process, to figure out what you feel, to say one thing and then have a thought develop into something different, to grow and mature in your conversational skills and processing. It doesn't sound like that was a safe space that was given to you in your home.
Mm.
Yeah. As we poke at that a little bit together, does it feel safe to go back into some memories with your stepdad? I know that's what you asked for, but I just wanted to check in, make sure it feels okay. Okay.
Yep, that feels safe.
Yeah. The they both are worthy of receiving love in and exchanging painful beliefs for God's truth. But my heart really gravitates towards this second one that surfaced, where he said that you interrupted him. Would it be okay to spend time on that one, or do you have a preference either way?
That's fine.
I want you to close your eyes and settle back into that memory. Just let some things start to surface. And let me know when you've connected back to that place.
I'm there.
And what's going on in that memory?
We're standing in the living room, and he's explaining something kind of heated, like I don't know what he's saying, but anytime I start to say something, he kind of gets this look like almost like, don't you do it, like you're about to do it again. Um,
Yeah. And you picture that
I feel
look
like
on.
I'm sorry. I feel like he's explaining he's explaining how he's feeling or about something I've done.
Mm. You want to keep going?
Mm-hmm.
How old do you feel, or do you think you were?
I'm not sure, but I think I was 12 or 13.
Yeah. And can you picture 12 or 13-year-old Caitlin?
Yeah, somewhat.
What can you connect with about her?
I don't think it has to do with what she's feeling in the moment, but the first thing that came to my mind was her smile and her enthusiasm. Like, just glimpses of who she is, I guess, but it's a little harder to connect to what she's feeling right now in the moment.
That's okay. I love learning a little bit about her as it comes. So you remember her to be enthusiastic and have a smile on her face, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's who she
Um,
was when she would feel like when she felt relaxed, I would say.
yeah. What else would she do when she was relaxed?
She'd laugh and she'd say some funny or awkward things, and a picture came to my mind of my mentor and good friend, my youth group leader. Um, I could be just goofy in myself, and she'd always just smile and wouldn't. She'd always take everything the best possible way. Like she'd always suppose the best first.
Yeah.
So I felt really at ease with her.
Yeah. I want you to picture 12 or 13-year-old Caitlin walking up to your mentor, youth group leader. Feeling funny, enthusiastic. And just let me know if they're able to connect.
Yep. I went up to her and was like, April! And give her a big ol' hug, and she's, Caitlin! Gives me a big ol' hug back.
Yeah. I want you to start asking April what she sees when she looks at you.
She says, I'm beautiful, and I'm happy, and I'm sweet, and I'm so much fun.
Yeah. I want you to imagine showing April your memory. And the anatomical system of your brain translating thoughts into language coming out of your mouth. I want you to show April your ability to converse and articulate.
Like out loud, describe the memory, or
Yeah, I want to see if April can show you her perspective on how you remember and recall and communicate.
you want me to try that out loud?
If you want to, does it feel clear, or should we try at it a different way?
I can imagine describing what was going on to her and
Okay.
telling her about it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, April, I'm kind of sad. I don't even know what I did this time. I can't remember, but I remember he started talking and he was aggravated. He was getting on to me and he kept jumping from one thing to the other. I really had a hard time understanding what I really did wrong in the first place. I tried to explain what I was thinking and how I felt and how I was trying, but when I tried to say anything, he'd look more angry, so I just took it. I just got quiet and let him finish, and by the time it was over, I felt like I hadn't gotten anywhere. Like, I don't feel like he understood me at all, and it really bothers me that he thought I was trying to be bad on purpose. I'm really confused. I wish I wish I knew what I could say or do that would make him happy with me instead of angry. She's tearing up and hugging me and going, "Oh, sweetie."
Yeah. How does little Caitlin feel to be consoled like that?
She feels heard and grateful. Grateful for the patience to listen.
Yeah. If it's okay with you, I'd love for little Caitlin to ask where God is in this moment.
April, where is he? He walked right up. He was right behind me and he put his hand on my shoulder and then and drew us all into a hug. I'm seeing him stand next to Michael now as he was having that discussion with me, and puts his arm around my shoulder and almost steps in between us. He says she's just a little girl. He says you need to stop. You have your own things to deal with. And Michael takes a step back and he kind of goes like, okay. And he goes around me and he goes back down the hallway. And Caitlin's confused. Can you still hear me okay?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay, good.
You're doing
And
great.
she's confused, and he puts his hands on my shoulders and looks at me and he says, you don't need to understand. You don't need to understand what all happened and what all's going on. It's not your place. And he pulls me in and he's holding me.
Wow.
He says, I understand you. All that matters.
Yeah.
I know your heart and that it's good.
How's it feel for her to be understood and to be fought for that way?
It feels really good. That's one thing I had wished for a lot, that my mom would stand up to him more, and she tried to, and then after a while I don't know, maybe she, because she was under the influence too, and eventually she kind of stopped, and so that was really, it was hard for me because I felt like I had to. He's a very intelligent person, and I can't usually, I couldn't hold my own with him in a back and forth discussion, and so it felt really good that I didn't have to.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything else that you need from God in this moment?
I want to ask him, where do I go from here? What do I do from here? He holds my face and he looks me in the eye, and then he crouches in front of me. He says, "Trust me." You're going to become so much more than they ever thought that you would. And I just throw my arms around his neck.
Wow. That's so cool. Mm.
And he's carrying me. He says, "Come on, why don't we go outside and play?" And I feel like final, like that's kind of the ending of it.
Mm. I want you to let him bring it full circle and just watch little Caitlin take his hand and go outside and play. Just let that be an anchoring snapshot at the end of this beautiful encounter. And when you're ready, you can take a deep breath and open your eyes.
That did not go I expected it to.
I think that's what I hear 100% of the time about encounters. I love it. Thanks for being open to that.
Yes, thank you for leading me through that. I was surprised when I couldn't connect at first within the memory, and then it's like this completely roundabout way, like going to April 1st, and then like all of a sudden it's like, okay, and we were back there, and it's yeah. Now I'll be able to look back on that memory, and now remember Jesus stepping in and us going out and playing after that.
So good. I don't normally share too many of my own personal behind the scenes thoughts, but I feel like I can right now. Like it might be okay. And before we connected with 12 or 13-year-old Caitlin, I wrote down to build trust. And the question came to mind of, where was mom? What did mom do? And I think it's really cool and confirming that I had no end goal in the for encounters. I don't think they work super well when there's agendas or end preferred outcomes. But that when you asked God what to do now, what to do next, he said, trust me. And before you got there, he came in and he advocated for you. He stepped in between you and Michael and said, that's enough. She's just a kid. And your heart was letting you know, this is what I wish mom would have done. So I just think that's really beautiful. Your heart is so good at revealing to you what it is hanging on to and what it needs. You have a really good relationship with yourself. I know you've worked hard to build that, and it's working. Good job, girl.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you. I'm so proud of myself.
You should be.
I really wanted, I feel like I'm like, how many weeks? There's 9 weeks in the program. And I've been in the program for 9 weeks. I just the email this week, and I'm still on week 1. And I'm like, well, I guess I needed to be.
Yeah.
So
You're doing a really good job. And I know that there's some sort of structure in place, and I do think that there is value in that. But right here at this part of your process is exactly where you need to be. The way that God just met you in that is life-changing. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that we're here for. This is the only reason why this program even exists, is for moments like that. And so thanks for leaning in. Thanks for not giving up and quitting just because you're not on someone else's timeline. You're exactly where you're supposed to be.
thank you so much.
You're welcome, girl. So good. Man, you guys, I can't even believe I get to witness this on a regular basis. You're powerful. You're incredible. Thank you for your vulnerability. So good. Okay, Caitlin, feel free to keep us posted on what that does for you and what that involves in your process. And in the meantime, we'll move on to the next question. Let me see. I have Angela next.
Hello.
Hey, girl.
Hi.
How are you?
That was really beautiful to witness. I love when girls in the program can just let go, and that was awesome. All right, my question is, I'm just struggling in relationships in my life, and I'm feeling very isolated. I'm a stay-at-home mom, and so like everyone's COVID experience was like my experience anyway. I stay home a lot, and I don't get out. I don't even have like a vehicle that would transport like all of my kids with me. And if, even if I did, it'd be exhausting just to do it. And so just like craving like adult conversations, and then when I look at like the people in my life that I can turn to, it's just not great in most of my relationships. Like my sister, I've felt like really rejected by her for like a year or two of her just like not really reaching out to me, not ever coming over and hanging out with me. She's always says she's like busy with work, but I know she like goes and hangs out with some of her friends who have kids, and she'll like go hang out with them. And my kids are her nieces and nephew, and yeah, it just hurts that she doesn't like come visit or hang out with me, because I feel like I don't like if before I had kids, I was always the person to reach out to people and like go over to them and um, set up like, I would just always go to them and meet them somewhere, whatever was convenient for them. And so I've been in this season for a while where I can't do that anymore. And um, like all the people that I used to do that for are not doing it for me. And it's just hard. Yeah. And I don't know like I don't know what to do about it basically.
Totally. I'm so sorry for the loss and rejection that you're feeling, the loneliness of this prolonged COVID season. Um, yeah, it sounds like your sister is a really painful point.
Yes.
And you used to be able to pour into some other relationships and go and spend time with friends. And maybe that masked a little bit of the pain with your sister, or maybe it filled a void that your sister's relationship caused. It brought in some love where you weren't getting it from her.
Yeah.
But with COVID, you're not able to do those things. And so, what you've replaced with this pain, what love you've replaced with the pain is also gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you're hitting the nail on the head. It's like really this deep rooted issue with my sister that I'm really struggling with.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to have the relationship that I want with her. And I keep reaching out. She gets really triggered around me. She gets really angry at some of the stuff I say. She's just like Trigger City. And a lot of times when we hang out, it's we have some kind of like dispute. And so then now she's gone to just avoiding me to avoid that conflict because I am just for me myself, I cannot have the relationship what she wants is where it's just like surface level, where we don't talk about anything real, we tiptoe around each other. It's like fake, like only say nice things, watch your P's and Q's. And I'm craving like a deeper relationship where I can just like say whatever's on my heart. And if emotions come up, then emotions come up and we deal with them, but we still love each other and we're still there for each other.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like if I don't know what to do, if I should just let this relationship go because it is so like hurtful to me, or I should just keep trying.
Mhm. Yeah. Would it be okay to lean into some processing on that and see what you're wanting?
Yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like she wants surface. She wants to tiptoe around and save face and make sure it's polite and clean. And you're okay if things get messy. And if stuff comes up, you're ready to lean into that with her. It's on one hand kind of maybe hopeful that she doesn't want to continue fighting. It sounds like, and I don't know her at all, but maybe she is leaning into the amount of connection that like the max amount of connection that she can handle. I'm not sure if that resonates or not, but I I'm more interested in knowing um you want to have this deeper, intimate connection with her? Is it because you've seen her ability to go there with you? It's just not happening now? Or what makes you want to have that with her?
I think because she's my sister, and we had two brothers who've both passed away from genetic disorders very recently. They were young. And so she's like my only sibling left of like my core family that I grew up with. And I keep trying to, like, I feel like initially I was the one that pushed her away because she was like my younger sister, and she would want to follow me around, and she would like always like what I liked, and like I was like I'm still very insecure of like who I am and what I like, and so I just felt like that's a huge responsibility for her to look up to me. I didn't feel like I could do that for her, and so I tried to push her away to find her own self-expression, and I feel like she's still mad at me for doing that, and she's created this like barrier between us, and I keep trying to get through the barrier, and I keep telling her like, whatever it is you're mad at me, I want you to tell me. Like, I'd rather you yell at me and scream at me than like not talk to me. And so it's just like a lot of deep rooted issues that she just like wants to, she's just always like, just get over the past, don't think about it. And I'm like, well, I wouldn't if we had a good healthy relationship, but we don't.
Yeah. 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 Mm.
And it hurts, I think, now with me having kids. I just thought, like, we always grew up playing dolls and Barbies, and we always dreamed about what our family would be like, and it really hurts that she's like not sharing this experience with me. And she doesn't have kids yet, and she has like her own personal issues with it. Like, she had a miscarriage, and she's very fearful about having children because of my brothers dying, and she's afraid that they'll have like a genetic disorder and she'll lose her kid. Like, she has so many fears. You know, it's like, it's just a lot of like my family, it's like they have so many issues, and it's like keeping us from relationship even though I desperately want it.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, and that's tough to have built these dreams with this person and to think that you're going to end up in a season and it looks totally different than what you expected. Mm. I would love to learn in this with you. Where are some of the areas that you can powerfully show up in this really unfortunate circumstance? Because even if you were at your healthiest, you had the best expectations, you had been able to create this really safe space for her, which I don't think is your responsibility, but even if everything on your end was best case scenario, the other person in an intimate relationship still has a choice. And I think with these real long-term intimate relationships, it's a constant choice. Every season of life, you're choosing in or you're not choosing in. And so I would love to see if there's a way for you to feel really good about what you're bringing to the table, so that if she chooses in, oh, dream come true. But if she continues not to in this season, you'd be okay. You'd feel content with what you're offering and what you're bringing and what you're like, who you are, who the other person in this relationship is.
Yeah,
And
because I don't want to like push her away anymore.
mm,
So that's why I'm like, I don't know what to do, because I feel like if I was like honest and open with her, it would just push her away. And that feeling of like, it's on me what she decides.
yeah, yeah. And it's hard. It's really hard to be ready for that intimacy, to be ready to go deeper with someone and it not be reciprocated. It's hard to hang on to that and stay hopeful for that while they build themselves, while they grow themselves, to maybe one day be on the same page with that. Yeah. I think I'm actually feeling the weight of how hard that is right now. I think that's really tough.
It's heavy.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, yeah, I think this is definitely the avenue I think I want to go down for you, just to see what parts of your path that we can kind of lock in and stabilize, um, while holding on to the dream that one day your paths are going to collide and you'll be strolling down together. Does that feel okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think I want to start um, with just some vision casting of this, and um, I have an idea in my head. So if that keeps building, I'll go that direction. But just to start, if you had a perfectly healthy relationship with your sister, what kind of elements would exist in that?
Like being physically comfortable with each other, like hugging and being close. I think that I wish we had, if I could paint like the perfect relationship with her, and laughter and understanding, inside jokes, just like old friends, like really knowing each other and having a history.
Yeah. What's coming up for you as you start to paint that picture?
I was just thinking about, I just wish that she would like let me in and let me be there for her, and in her journey in life. That she would come to me for comfort and for advice and for company.
Yeah. Yeah, this is really good. If you had that relationship where you were invited in to her journey, where she let you comfort her, speak into her life, know about her life stages, what would that mean about who you are as a person? What do you think that that would gratify in you?
I think that she would see value in my life experience and the things that I've done. Because I am older and there's just been something about our relationship where, you know, it's like older sister, like trying to protect her because I made the mistakes. But because I made mistakes, she like discredits me. And she just she wants to do it her way, and she's so prideful that she just doesn't want to give me anything, any validation. Every time I tell her something, she always says, I know. That's her like thing. I know. Like she already knew. She knows everything. And I'm like, but I have children and you don't. So maybe there are some things that I know and you don't. I'm married and you're not. Maybe there's things that I know and you don't. And yeah, that's just like the dynamic of our relationship.
Yeah. This is really good, hard work that you're doing right now. I can feel the courage and the bravery that this takes. I have mad respect for this. I want to keep going. If you had this old time friend feel, inside jokes, you guys really know each other, there's understanding, what would that mean about you? What would that gratify in you?
I would feel understood and included. And like a deeper bond that was undeniable, that is like my birthright.
And if you had this relationship where there weren't physical boundaries, you could hug all over each other, you could sit next to each other with your legs touching or your hands touching, and she wouldn't pull away. What would that mean about you?
I think it would just be like a expression of how we were bonded internally, like that others could see, that we felt safe with each other, that we love each other.
Yeah. This is so good. So your heart is telling you that in that best case scenario, in that dream come true relationship, you would be validated. You'd be understood. You'd be included. Others would see through the expression, the external expression of your physical touch. It would be this undeniable, deep bond. You'd be able to protect her with your life experiences and the things that you know that she doesn't. There would be value in your life experience. It would be wanted. It would be requested. And those are the parts of the path that you're on, that you're walking towards, that your heart is seeking and looking for along the way. And her path isn't beautifully collided with yours right now. There's disconnect. But just because that's the reality, the hard reality of this relationship, doesn't mean your heart stopped seeking those things. And you knowing what those things are is one of the most empowering things that we can know about ourselves, that we can get from a relationship with ourselves. Do any of those things that your heart is seeking feel like an invitation right now? Or does anything feel alluring, like you could step into it and
Yeah, I mean, it's funny just hearing myself talk, like, you know, I want these things not just from my sister, but from like everyone. Validation and like a value of my life experience. Like my life and the way I've lived it matters. Even though I've made mistakes. I did the best I could because I feel like I had to raise myself. I don't know, I feel that a lot of just like, I don't know if it's true or not, but I feel like people discredit me. This feeling of like my voice doesn't matter. And I've, you know, done a lot of things to try to get this accreditation, like a college degree. And I'm like, wow, people still don't care. Like,
yeah.
how much do I have to achieve to have my voice heard and valued?
Totally. Yeah. When you hear that, those things reflected back to you, that you're wanting to step into your birthright, into value, into accreditation, that what you went through mattered. Those don't sound like these crazy big asks. They sound like really normal parts of relationship, really core foundational things that are needed. I don't think this dream is far-fetched. These desires, they're not off the wall. You're not the only one needing them. You don't need more than others or too much at all. These are really normal things for your heart to want. It makes so much sense to me why that's what came up in this. I want those things too. I think we were created to want those things. I believe we are dependent beings. We were crafted to be dependent on God for his understanding, for his accreditation. And it's available to us. We spend our life grabbing onto more of it, understanding more of it, until one day we don't have to reach anymore. How does all this feel for you now that it's been able to kind of come up and be processed a bit?
Yeah, I guess I feel like I'm just in the process, the hard, the process is so hard. And I wish that I could feel like I already have those things. Because in my deepest heart, and I know what God says of me, I know that I do. And I wish that I didn't feel the need to get it from other people.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like, you're not wanting to get it from other people, or you're wishing that you didn't have to get it from other people, but you just described where it's located, at the deepest part of your heart.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I don't know what that means or what it looks like to be
I know,
totally.
it's like, why is it so hard to believe sometimes? It's like knowing it. I know it, but do I believe it?
Right.
I don't know why it's so hard to believe it. I think it's like, I feel like if other people said it, then I would believe it. But then I've had people say things to me and it's like still like, I don't know why I struggle so much with this,
Yeah. Yeah.
But I desire it so much to get it from God and just believe it from myself and not get it from anywhere else.
Yeah. And isn't it crazy too that, like, you can hear it from other people, but there's so many varying levels of value attached to your different relationships. You
Yeah.
want it from your sister,
Yeah.
and 10 people could be giving you the very things that you need, but if she's not, you feel without. Right?
Yeah.
That happens all the time to me too. Like, it's just kind
And
of crazy.
I wonder even if she gave it, if I still would feel like
Yeah.
like I don't think it's really, even she can give that. I don't think anyone can give it.
Yeah. Yeah. Or someone could give it for a season and then stop.
Yeah.
Right? That real fear of rejection, that's real. I think the two relationships that you have the most control in, the most consistency in, the least likeliness of rejection in, is your relationship with yourself and your relationship with God.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. And it's true. God's the one who placed that deep in your heart. You're the one that can go access it. He's the source, you're the seeker. Those two areas, those two relationships would be really good next steps in reinforcing the path that you're on.
Yeah. I keep hearing him say, work on myself. Like when I want to work on someone else or another relationship, he tells me, work on you.
Yeah.
And I'm like doing so much for myself, but maybe I just get tired or reach a plateau or something, and then I'm like, I don't know, I'm just like a doer. I always have to be doing something productive, achieving, moving the goal, kicking the ball
Totally.
down the street.
Yeah. That's really cool. I love those qualities about you. I bet some of your
Thanks.
life experiences really led you to have that kind of response, that resilient response.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to leave you with one more thing too, because we just made it sound super easy, super simple. I'm on this path walking towards this direction with these needs that can be met by these people. But when you bring that into conjunction of real life, you're a mom, you're a wife, you're trying to build with your sister, you have these desires and dreams and relationships. You know, we get pulled in a million different directions. We're tethered to so many different things. So let this be a reminder that you're tethered to yourself and you're tethered to God. And hopefully what this last thought that I'm going to leave you with helps to do is to break off tethers that you don't need anymore. And your sister's desire for only a surface level relationship only reflects her ability and her desire to go after her own pain.
Yeah.
And it means nothing about her desire to connect with you.
Yeah.
It, it
And I know that. Yeah.
Yeah, it only means that she's not willing to get after her pain with you, with your family, with the loss of your brothers, with the fact that you did put boundaries up when you were younger. It's her ability to not acknowledge those things right now that's leading
Yeah.
to this disconnect.
It's like it's my family. That's how my whole structure of my family was and how people dealt with themselves. So I'm like the black sheep.
Mm,
I'm like, I, yeah, am just emotional and I can't do that. I cannot, I can't function that way.
right. Yeah. I'm the same in my family. I'd be willing to bet there's a lot of women in this program who are also the same. And I don't know how I feel about the black sheep reference, but I see it as like this is fun because like there is a cleared pasture with a fence and a shepherd, and our families are white sheep in the flock. And they just do what they've learned and they don't change anything. Everything's the same. But we break out and
Mm,
go bust through the uncleared and the woods and the not well mowed grass. And we bump into weeds and thorns and scary things. But it's so much better than being in that pasture.
that's so good. It reminds me of like the prodigal son
Yeah.
and leaving the 99 for the one. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you're the black sheep. I love that you're fighting for things that really matter. I love that you're pursuing connection with yourself and with God. It's okay that those are the desires of your heart. It's okay that you need a reminder that God is the provider of those things. We all do. Every single one of us need that encouragement, that reminder. You're not asking for too much. Mm.
Oh, you always make me feel better. You guys always make me feel better.
You did really good work today.
Thank you.
It was awesome. Thank you for letting us into that. Oh, man. Yeah, I'm excited to see what that new awareness, what that ability to process and feel heard and not feel crazy. Just, I'm excited to see what that unravels for you, what that does for you. Thank you for sharing. Mm. Yeah. That's so good. When you get a chance, check out the chat too. You got some good love in there and a cool reference to yesterday's coaching call. That sounds awesome. Dang, 2 hours flies by way too fast. I always want more time with you guys. Thank you for those of you who shared. Thank you for those of you who brought questions today. There were quite a few of you that I didn't get to connect with, and so yeah, if the timing is right for you and you want to join me on a one-on-one call, I would love to still hear what your thoughts and questions were. If you want to post it in the Facebook page and tag me in it, I would love to engage with you there. Yeah, you guys are so impressive. You breaking out of your pastures and going after things that haven't been modeled for you is so brave. You guys are miracles. You're breaking out of cycles that you don't want to stay in, and that is one of the most admirable things I can think of. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for choosing yourself. Thank you for choosing to learn more about what God has for you. This is so worth it. Keep on. You're doing a good job. Thanks, guys, for being here. I hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday. Happy New Year. When I see you next, it'll be 2021. See you guys.